entrenchment of democracy at the local government level, being the third tier of government? We have a Vox Pop and a studio interview to answer such a question. And in what appears to be a deliberate effort to promote synergy amongst key players in Nigeria's democracy, the Center for Transparency Advocacy was at it again when recently in Abuja they gathered key stakeholders to achieve that. We have a report on that too. And as usual, the Tidbits Corner promises to spice up the day for you. My name is Muhammad Abubakar, your guide. Let's kickstart the program with an elaborate event hosted by the nation's election umpire INEC, where it interfaced with the representatives of the media to formally show appreciation to them for doing more than what was expected when the nation went to the polls to elect a new set of leaders in the country. Meo Ogidi was there for us.
Pleasantries are never in short supply in gatherings like this because the Fourth Estate is quite a busy one. So, all is done in arrears. Being gatekeepers, these media chiefs avert wars, calm rising tensions, set agenda for the government, all in the interest of the nation. The 2019 elections were even more tasking in the delivery of these national assignments, where perception and truth competing for supremacy with the penetration of the social media. 2,131 domestic and foreign journalists from 202 media outfits were on the field, and their experiences will enrich the idea bank of the INEC.
The media did not disappoint before, during, and after the election. We were never at any point in time found wanting.
The live coverage on television, radio, online newspapers, and live streaming on other platforms, free of charge, gratis. The Commission didn't pay for this.
Such kindness and patriotism from the fourth power rekindles the spirit of comradeship in the INEC chairman.
I want to assure you, Larry, that spirit of making our country work for all Nigerians is still in us, and it will remain in me forever.
2 months from now, all the contributions from the stakeholders will be in a compendium for a better outing in 2023.
Moving on, it is no longer news that the National Working Committee of the APC has approved indirect primaries to elect the party's candidate for the forthcoming Kogi governorship election. This followed a meeting of the committee last Friday, where a formal request from the Kogi State Executive and stakeholders shown preference for the indirect primaries. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lore Isa Onilu, in a statement recalled that the constitution of the party provides for 3 modes of primary elections to elect party candidates, which are indirect primaries, direct primaries, and consensus, depending on the peculiarities of the state concerned. Meanwhile, political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi reports that a group has reacted to the decision by the National Secretariat of the OPC to adopt indirect primaries to elect who flies the party's flag in the November 16th governorship election in the state.
Political activities are gaining momentum ahead of the forthcoming governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states slated for November 16, 2019. Already, the Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed 18th August to 5th September as time frame for parties that are presenting candidates to conduct their primary elections. In view of this, the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has adopted the indirect form of conducting its governorship primary in Kogi State. This development has since been generating comments from various groups.
We are calling on the National Working Committee that works on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the party to institute a caretaker committee to oversee this election in Kogi State.
We regret to observe that such decision was taken without adequate consultation with critical stakeholders of the party in the state, especially the governorship aspirant on the platform of the party and other contending groups in the polarized structure of the party in the state.
The forum presented a letter to the national leadership of the APC and was received by the national treasurer, Adamu Fanda, who promised that the National Working Committee will look into their plight.
Well, to talk more on the developments as they unfold in Kogi State as it relates to the party primaries coming up very soon is a familiar face on this platform in person of Dr. Mukhtar Imam of International Relations Department, Base University, Abuja. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, I am sure you are aware of the development within the APC in Kogi State. The National Working Committee approved indirect primaries to elect the party's candidate for the forthcoming Kogi governorship election. Notwithstanding the fact that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think 20 aspirants within the same party APC here in Abuja met to demand for, direct primaries. What do you make of such a development emanating from the state?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, for the consumption of the audience, the primary election or the direct primary election is basically a scenario where you have people within the fold of the party directly cast votes to nominate whoever would represent the party as a flag bearer in the general elections. While in the case of the indirect, it's more or less the delegate election where you have people of impeccable character nominated by the party to select those who would take the flag or be the flag bearer of the party in the general elections. And then you have also the third structure, which the APC has within its setup, which is the consensus. So these are the three basic setups that the APC, within its party constitution, has basically adopted as procedures through which flag bearers will be nominated in elections. Having said that, you see, to be able to address the issue in Kogi State as it affects APC and, of course, the state in itself, Kogi State, you must look at this from a multi-dimension or a multi-dimensional view. It is multi-dimensional as much as it is subjective. To be able to clearly understand these issues, we must put it within the fold of two or twin criteria. One of them is to look at it from the structural view, and then the other is to look at it from the procedural view. I'm saying this to give us a foundation, to give us a background of what's going on in Kogi State, because it's a very dire situation for the APC. Now, looking at it from the first viewpoint, which is basically the structural, like I said in the beginning, the APC's setup has agreed within its party constitution that these are the three modes or methods that should be adopted in election, or rather in selecting those who would be flag bearers in elections, be it at the gubernatorial or at the presidential level. Yes, of course, the presidential had its own issues, which we were not going to dwell into. Yes, that is what is enshrined in the party constitution. But then again, of course, the APC, politics is about winning elections. That's the reason why political parties exist in the first place. So the APC must understand that if it will win elections, it must put its house in order. And how is it supposed to do that? You must understand that within the structure in itself that you have allowed to fly, there are uniqueness. There are peculiarities in different scenarios. And you must understand the peculiarities to be able to know which of the methods should be adopted in that scenario.
At a recent interactive session with the political parties, the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is, of course, the election umpire, warned that it is not going to allow the political parties, temper with democracy when it comes to election of, candidates to fly their respective flags. How far do you think the INEC can go in that regard?
Well, in the past, we've heard statements like this from INEC from the days of Jiga. We're hearing the same now. Hopefully we'll begin to see some practical and pragmatic steps. Where you don't see pragmatic steps, nothing will be done. We're tired of word of mouth. We need to begin to see action. If INEC is not going to allow them, what are the steps that INEC has put in place, policy-wise, that will be able to mitigate the challenges that political parties have flagrant disregard for rules and procedures in selection or nomination of individuals who would who would be flag bearers and so on and so forth. So until we begin to see that, there's absolutely no way we're going to hold INEC for the things that it has said. We need to begin to see action. We need to hear that there are certain measures that have been put in place, and this is how far we hope to go in achieving what we have set to achieve.
Let's sample the pulses of the people on what local government as a third tier of government means to them.
I started my political career as a councillor, and during those times, you see that local government had autonomy. But these days, they say joint account with state government, and the state government spends all the money that is allocated to local government. You see clearly from the federation account as the money is divided, the one to the presidency, the one to the state government, and then the one to local government. You see clearly. But by the time the money gets there, they have joint account, and the state government takes much of the money. And that's why local government are not able to perform their function. So what the NFIU is doing now is good, but we must go the whole hog to ensure that the constitution is changed back so that local governments are not in any way under the state governments, so that State House of Assembly does not have anything to do with local government. Just as Federal House of Representatives cannot remove a governor, there's no reason why State House of Assembly members should be able to remove a local government chairman.
I must commend the government for taking a bold step in terms of strengthening the local governments, their funding. But first thing first, this policy, NIFU, National Financial Intelligence Unit, right? Do they have the powers to regulate distribution of local government funds? Yes, I think they are empowered to track the movement of funds. But in terms of the local government, how many local governments across the federation, how many out of 774, how many have elected chairmen and councillors? I stand to be corrected. Up to 80% of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria are being run by appointed chairmen and councillors. That brings us to another question. Who are these appointed chairmen and councillors? They are all at the whims and caprices of the governor. For the governor exercises prerogative who to appoint is seen as a direct favor.
The autonomy being envisaged for local councils will go a long way in further attracting development to the grassroots. So when we have, autonomy of local councils, that is to say they have advantage of assessing from the way it is allocated to them, unlike what it used to be. But of course, sometimes I used to say in the FCT, it may not be what we hear is happening in some local councils across the states. For us here, there's a bit of confidence to speak about, autonomy. But for states, sincerely, we sympathize with them, and I think this autonomy will bring about, a lasting solution to attract, to allow, proper services expected of the people to be achieved. And that is one thing that is going for this autonomy, more so that the financial intelligence aspect of it is now backing, the idea, because of Mr. President is already in total support, and we have also the backing of the National Assembly. So if we have this financial intelligence, aspect of it also, showcasing support, it will also help.
President Muhammadu Buhari believes in constitutional democracy and believes that every arm of government should do its work according to what the Constitution has granted you. And that work cannot be done according to what the Constitution grants you if the main means enabling you to do the work is not allowed, which is financial autonomy. Now, he believes that the Constitution has given him power as the president, and he's having his money to do his work. Then the Constitution also has given power to the states and made money available to them. The Constitution has given power to the local government and made money available to them through a channel. Now, what this portends is that there will be responsibility by the third tier of government, which is the local government, backed by finances for it. And yes, there is the provision in the Constitution for the state local government joint account. Yes, there is. But there is also Nigeria's obligation under the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Agency, intelligence unit, which is a law made by the National Assembly and assented by the President, and is a law that gives us obligation to act in a manner that is consistent with international financial system. You cannot make somebody a chief executive without giving him the power of the chief executive, which they finance, to enable him chief execute.
Dr. Ernest Ireke of Political Science Department, University of Abuja, is here to talk more on the issue.
Well, I think it was a mixed feeling of sort for me because one is that it was gladdening to know that Jigawa State conducted elections into local